Sheikh Rami Al-Mansour thought he had found love that transcended wealth and borders. But Celina Duarte, the radiant Filipina bride he worshipped, carried a past filled with deceit, hidden husbands, and stolen fortunes. What began as a $2 million fairy tale wedding in the heart of Dubai would soon spiral into a nightmare of betrayal, rage, and blood, a chilling reminder that sometimes the most beautiful love stories end in the most brutal ways. The scorching desert sun glistened over the endless dunes of Dubai as preparations for the grand wedding reached their final moments. The palace belonging to Sheikh Rami Al-Mansour had been transformed into a vision of pure opulence. Golden drapes shimmered in the wind, imported orchids from Thailand perfumed the air, and crystal chandeliers hung above the courtyard, where hundreds of guests were to witness the most talked-about wedding in years. Rami, known for his wealth, generosity, and impeccable taste, spared no expense. The ceremony was estimated to cost over $2 million, with everything designed to reflect his status and love for the woman he believed was his destiny. Celina Duarte. Celina stood in a private room overlooking the palace gardens. Wearing a diamond-studded white gown flown in from Paris, her beauty radiated confidence, and her calmness masked a storm of secrets buried deep inside her. To the world, she was a successful Filipina event coordinator who had captured the heart of a royal businessman. But behind that facade lay a life built on deception and reinvention. Her journey from poverty to luxury had been paved with lies that no one suspected. Not even Rami, whose intuition had always been sharp, could see through the layers of charm and elegance that Celina carried so effortlessly. As the ceremony began, guests from all over the world, politicians, celebrities, and dignitaries filled the courtyard. Cameras captured every detail, from the gold-embroidered carpets to the Arabian horses standing near the entrance. Rami walked through the crowd with an air of confidence, greeting his guests and smiling with the pride of a man who believed he had found true love. When Celina entered, all eyes turned toward her. She glided down the aisle like a vision from a dream, her expression serene, her past carefully hidden behind her painted smile. The ceremony concluded with applause, and the couple exchanged vows under the warm desert sky. The orchestra played softly as fireworks lit the horizon. Guests clapped and cheered while luxury drones filmed the moment for social media. To everyone present, it was the perfect union of power, wealth, and romance. But far away, thousands of miles from the glittering palace, a man sitting in a dim apartment stared at the live broadcast on his phone. His eyes widened as he recognized the bride. He leaned closer to the screen, his breath quickening. It had been years since he last saw her, the woman who had vanished after taking everything he owned. Her name had changed, but her face hadn't. The memory of betrayal flooded his mind, and a slow, determined rage took hold. While the rest of the world celebrated love, he saw something far darker unfolding before him. The perfect bride on screen was not who she claimed to be. The man watching had found her at last, and he knew what she was capable of. The fairy tale wedding that captivated Dubai was about to become a nightmare written in blood. Celina Duarte's carefully constructed identity had taken years to perfect. Before she ever stepped foot in Dubai, she had already lived 3 different lives under 3 different names. In the Philippines, she was Maria Celina Villarreal, the young wife of a local entrepreneur named Elias Ramirez. Their marriage had begun with love but ended in financial ruin after Elias discovered that his savings had been emptied and his wife had disappeared without a trace. Celina had fled to Malaysia, where she reinvented herself as Alina de Vera, a charming fashion consultant who captured the heart of a wealthy importer. Within months, she married him, and soon after, he too found his accounts drained and his new wife gone by the time she reached Bahrain. She had mastered the art of reinvention. She became a widow with a tragic story, collecting sympathy and protection from those who pitied her. Her third marriage was to a businessman twice her age, who admired her quiet strength. When he suddenly fell ill and passed away, rumors swirled, but no one could prove anything. With the money she inherited, Celina vanished once again, this time leaving no trail behind. She entered the United Arab Emirates with a forged passport and a new name. To everyone who met her, she was refined, cultured, and mysterious, the kind of woman who belonged in the circles of the rich and powerful. It was at a charity gala that Sheikh Rami Al-Mansour first saw her. He was drawn to her humility and grace, qualities that stood out in a world full of ambition and greed. Celina played her part perfectly. She spoke softly about her humble beginnings, her supposed family back in Manila, and her dreams of helping others. To Rami, she was everything he had been searching for, elegant yet modest, beautiful yet kind. Within months, he proposed, and their whirlwind romance became the talk of Dubai's elite. But the peace she had created was fragile. In a small apartment in Manila, Elias Ramirez had never stopped searching for her. After years of failure, he had finally accepted that she might be gone forever. Until one afternoon, when he scrolled through a news feed and saw her smiling face on the cover of a Dubai luxury magazine. The caption read, "Sheikh Rami to marry mysterious Filipina event coordinator." Elias froze, reading the name again and again. It was different, but the eyes, the smile, he would never forget them. He began collecting evidence, old photographs, marriage certificates, and bank documents. With every piece, the truth grew darker. Celina had not just deceived him. She had built an empire of lies across nations. Elias sent an anonymous email to a Dubai private investigator, attaching everything he had. He didn't ask for money or fame, only that the truth be revealed. As the wedding celebrations flooded the internet, his message reached Rami's security office. Within days, quiet investigations began. The secrets that Celina had buried for years were finally being unearthed, and the past she thought she had escaped was coming for her. The first signs of trouble appeared in small, almost invisible ways. Sheikh Rami began noticing inconsistencies in Celina's stories, her accent occasionally shifting, her recollection of family details slightly different each time she mentioned them. He brushed it off at first, convincing himself it was just stress from the wedding. But when his chief of security, Adil Kauri, received a confidential message from an unknown sender containing scanned marriage documents and photographs, everything changed. The email contained copies of passports under different names, a wedding photo from the Philippines, and another from Malaysia. The face was unmistakably Celina's. The sender claimed she had 3 living husbands. Adil printed the evidence and presented it privately to Rami. The sheikh sat in silence as he stared at the photographs, his hands trembling slightly. Betrayal was not something he was used to, especially from someone he had opened his heart to. Over the following days, he ordered his staff to discreetly investigate Celina's background. They reached out to immigration offices, local agencies, and digital records. Each discovery made the truth harder to ignore. Celina's past was riddled with false identities, multiple addresses, and inconsistencies that painted a picture of a woman who had lived several lives and left behind broken men and missing money. While Rami's world began to collapse, Celina's instincts sensed a shift. His tone had changed. The warmth was gone from his gestures, replaced by polite distance. The household staff became cautious around her, and conversations stopped abruptly whenever she entered the room. Something was wrong, but she couldn't tell what. Late at night, she found herself awake, scrolling through news reports and social media, wondering if one of her past lives had somehow followed her to Dubai. Then, one morning, she found an unmarked envelope slipped under her door. Inside were printed images of her former wedding in the Philippines, photos she hadn't seen in years. Her heart raced as she burned the papers in the sink, trying to destroy the proof, but she knew the message was clear. Someone knew. That same evening, Rami called off a business trip unexpectedly and stayed home. His demeanor was composed but distant. He spent hours alone in his study, locked behind the heavy wooden doors, making phone calls and reviewing files. Celina's anxiety grew as she noticed Adil's men quietly patrolling areas of the palace that were normally private. Within days, Rami had confirmed everything. The investigator traced Celina's previous marriages and found that none had been legally dissolved. Every record pointed to the same pattern: emotional manipulation, financial exploitation, and disappearance. He didn't confront her immediately. Instead, he began planning something far more deliberate. If Celina had fooled others, he would make sure she never fooled anyone again. Behind his calm expression, rage and humiliation boiled. He invited his closest friends and family for what he described as a private celebration of love. Unbeknownst to anyone, the evening he planned would be the setting for a public unmasking, and a night that would end in tragedy. The night of the private celebration arrived with breathtaking grandeur. The palace ballroom shimmered under hundreds of golden lanterns, and the scent of white jasmine filled the air. Guests arrived in sleek limousines, stepping onto crimson carpets lined with uniformed guards. Sheikh Rami Al-Mansour had announced the event as a continuation of the wedding festivities, an intimate gathering to honor his new wife. The guests expected music, laughter, and extravagant displays of affection. No one suspected that beneath the luxury and smiles, a storm was waiting to break. Celina appeared radiant as ever. She wore a floor-length silver gown and diamond earrings that sparkled against her skin. To everyone present, she seemed like the picture of a perfect bride, poised, graceful, and deeply in love. Yet her heart was pounding. The tension in Rami's eyes had grown impossible to ignore. His silence, his cold glances, the way his guards shadowed her movements, everything felt wrong. She tried to reassure herself that it was her imagination, that the paranoia was nothing more than guilt. But as she stepped into the ballroom, she saw something that froze her blood. A large screen stood behind the stage, covered with a white sheet. As if waiting for a surprise presentation, Rami stood by the microphone, his expression composed and unreadable. The music stopped. The guests turned their attention to him as he began to thank everyone for attending. He spoke about trust, love, and the purity of truth. Then, with a subtle nod to Adil Kauri, the screen behind him flickered to life. What appeared next silenced the entire room. A photograph filled the screen. A wedding portrait of Celina with another man, smiling in front of a small church in the Philippines. Then came another and another, from different countries, different husbands, each showing the same woman under a different name. The crowd gasped in disbelief. Celina's body stiffened, her face draining of color. The murmurs turned into whispers, and the whispers into outrage. Rami's voice, sharp and controlled, cut through the noise as he detailed her deceit. The multiple marriages, the false identities, the money stolen, and the trail of betrayal she had left behind. Celina tried to move, but two guards stepped forward to block her path. Panic surged within her. She turned toward Rami, who stood staring at her with a look that mixed fury and devastation. The humiliation, the betrayal, and the rage that had built up inside him exploded all at once. In the confusion that followed, shouts filled the air. Glasses shattered, and someone screamed. A gun appeared. No one knew whose hand drew it first. A single shot rang out, then another, echoing across the grand hall. Guests ducked behind tables as chaos erupted. When the noise finally stopped, the once elegant ballroom was unrecognizable. Rami lay motionless on the marble floor, blood spreading beneath him. Celina knelt nearby, her gown soaked in red, trembling, her eyes wide with horror. The guards rushed in, surrounding her as the music that once symbolized love was replaced by the wail of sirens. The $2 million wedding that had promised a lifetime of happiness had ended in screams, panic, and irreversible tragedy. The aftermath of the blood-soaked celebration sent shockwaves through Dubai's elite community. The palace that had once symbolized wealth and power was now sealed off by police tape and investigators in white forensic suits. The story spread like wildfire across social media and international news outlets. Dubai Sheikh's bride exposed as serial fraudster ends in murder. For the first time, the Al-Mansour family's private life had become a global scandal. Cameras surrounded the palace gates, journalists waited for statements, and millions of strangers debated online whether Celina Duarte was a victim of circumstance or a cold-hearted manipulator who had pushed her husband to madness. Inside the interrogation room, Celina sat motionless. Her once glamorous appearance had faded into exhaustion and fear. The blood-stained silver gown had been taken as evidence, leaving her wrapped in a plain jumpsuit. She gave few answers to the detective's questions, claiming she had acted in self-defense, insisting Rami had attacked her first. The investigation, however, told a more complicated story. Forensic analysis revealed that both Rami and Celina had fired their weapons during the struggle. The bullets matched their respective guns, and the scene suggested a confrontation fueled by rage and panic rather than premeditation. As detectives pieced together the evidence, Celina's past began to unfold like a dark novel. Immigration records, financial transactions, and witness statements linked her to 3 men across 3 countries. Each marriage ended in deceit, and each man had reported missing funds or suspicious activity after her disappearance. Her pattern of behavior was undeniable. The media labeled her the desert widow, a woman who married for wealth and vanished when her lies grew too heavy to carry. During the trial, the courtroom was packed every day. Rami's family demanded justice, while Celina's defense argued that she was trapped in a life of abuse and manipulation, forced to reinvent herself for survival. But the evidence was unforgiving. When the verdict was read, the air in the courtroom turned heavy. Celina Duarte, also known as Maria Celina Villarreal, was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. She showed no visible emotion, only lowering her head as flashes from cameras captured the moment. The same beauty that had once captivated powerful men was now frozen in shame and defeat. Inside the walls of the UAE's maximum security women's prison, Celina lived a quiet existence, stripped of luxury and control. She spent her days sewing prison uniforms and her nights staring at the ceiling. Haunted by the faces of the men she had deceived, rumors spread that she kept a hidden notebook, writing letters she never sent, apologies to the ones she had hurt, and prayers for the one she had lost. Elias Ramirez, the first husband who exposed her, disappeared shortly after the trial concluded. Some believed he returned to the Philippines to start a new life. Others whispered that he met a darker fate. Whatever the truth, the trail ended with silence. The palace was later renovated, its ballroom reopened for charity events. But the staff avoided discussing that night. What had once been a symbol of love and luxury was now remembered as the scene of one of Dubai's most haunting crimes. A warning that beneath even the brightest glamour can hide the darkest deceit.